Hey guys, so along with our wonderful recipes from the Pretty Intense group, I decided I'm going to make my turkey vegetable lasagna tonight. I was going to make it last night and I was too tired. So what I went ahead and did last night is I went ahead and browned my ground turkey. So got a 1 pound of ground turkey in there. Usually, sometimes I'll do 1.5 pounds. I'll get one of those big 3 pounders and I'll split it in half. And if I want it to be a little bit more meaty, I also have already made my tomato confit. When I get home from the grocery store, I usually go ahead and make my tomatoes this way because they last a little bit longer, and then I just have them ready whenever I want. So it's just you blanch the tomatoes so you can peel them. You stick them in the oven with a little bit of olive oil, or you could do coconut oil, some garlic. You can tell it's kind of cold because some garlic, some seasoning, oregano, Italian seasoning, more garlic powder if you want. Diced up garlic is in here also. I do have, because I'm working my way up to making my own tomato sauce, but I don't yet. So I do use the Ragu chunky sauce. I like it. And it doesn't have a whole lot of sugar. It has 10 grams for half a cup. And generally, you don't even get a half a cup when you get the whole serving of the lasagna. I have whole grain lasagna noodles, but I've also used zucchini. I'm getting ready, taking the ends off, and I'm getting ready to clean off my zucchini here. I've done it both ways. For me, using zucchini for both layers tends to make a little more watered down, and I do kind of like that bottom layer to be noodles. It just kind of keeps it together to me a little bit more. I'm also going to dice up some celery. This is kind of my whatever's left in the fridge. However, I did just go grocery shopping, so I have a lot of stuff. But usually whatever's left in the fridge that needs to get used up. Onions, tomatoes, any kind of vegetable that just kind of needs to be used, I go ahead and put in my lasagna. So I'm going to get the zucchini ready, and yes, I have mozzarella cheese, but you don't use that much. I'm going to put some mozzarella cheese, get that all ground up, and I'll be right back. All right, so I got everything together. I even realized I had forgotten my baby spinach that I like to put in my lasagna too. So I have two pans. One is for me, my husband, and my daughter. My son does completely dairy-free, so I make him his own special, and my husband sometimes eats off that too. So let me get my noodles out. My whole grain noodles. Now, kids, can you be a little quieter? You can't find these in the store anymore. I don't know why. I have to order mine off of Amazon. So I order as many as they'll let me, usually 10 at a time. And you sometimes have to break them a little bit to get them to fit in. And that's okay. You know, it's all right. Broken noodles are still just as good as regular noodles, right? So my pan's a little short. I can barely fit 3 across. Again, that's okay. We'll make it work. Shush! We're playing Legos, and so it's loud. All right, now, usually the ground turkey is warmed up with the sauce, and it's all together. It's a little different this time because I made it separately. I already shredded up my cup of cheese. So what I'm going to do is taking my ground turkey and pouring it into... Now, the other thing I just realized I forgot, and this is why I do 1.5 cups, because it's not a whole lot of meat. However, if you want it more vegetarian, you don't have to have a lot of meat. My son's a protein hog, so he usually gets a little bit more than us anyway. Realize I forgot my seasonings. Let me grab that real quick. And it's really great because my 3 favorite seasonings are right in front because I use them for everything. I have an Italian seasoning that's kind of a mixture of things. I have garlic powder because right now I'm out of garlic cloves and I couldn't find any at the store, and a little bit of garlic salt. I sweat a lot, and so I need to replenish some of that sodium. All right, my next is my tomato confit. Now, again, if you don't want this to be as oily, you don't have to pour the oil in here. This is the leftover oil in here from when I made it. I'm just kind of chopping it up just a little bit. By the time it cooks down and everything, it's real soft. Right now, they're just still a little cold. And you don't have to pour the oil in here either if you don't want to. Oh, this smells so good. So good. Like walking into like an Italian eatery. It just smells so delicious. I love it when I make these. They are wonderful. So I used Roma tomatoes this time. I've used everything from beefsteak to, my noodles are all sliding around. I've used every kind of different type of tomatoes, and that's good. So I'm actually going to just use all of this because I don't mind it to be a little more oily. Again, it's just olive oil. So that is good there. And now what I ended up doing is I have some zucchini sliced and then I have some chopped. So before I add my sauce, I'm going to go ahead and add half of my other veggies. I like this middle layer to be thicker than my top layer. Don't ask why. I have no idea. It's just how I do it. You can do it however you want. I also do not chop up my spinach. I like them to be whole. Give some to my son. Little pieces of spinach. Some celery on top. And then some to us. I love spinach. Spinach is good for iron, vitamin C, all kinds of different things. It doesn't really have a flavor. It's like cauliflower. And if I had cauliflower, I would be putting cauliflower on this too. Broccoli to me just has a totally different taste and texture, but the cauliflower I can dice up and put it on, kind of mix it in with the cheese, and you don't notice it as much. So I'm going to add my garlic powder. You can go as little or as light as you want. It's up to you. A little bit of garlic salt. And then, that other Italian seasonings. Oregano, basil, a little bit of everything. My son gets some garlic. He always sometimes tells me I over garlic his. All right. Now, zucchini. My zucchini chopped. And then we're going to put the sauce on. I'm going to put all of this because we're going to do the sauce, and then that other zucchini noodle, the sliced zucchini becomes our second layer. Alrighty, so, and again, depending on how saucy you like it, look at all those big, nice, thick chunks. And this already has a lot of chunky vegetables in it. Being that we don't do a lot of meat in it, I like my vegetables to be a little chunkier. Kind of gives it that fake out that you're having a lot of meat. I love making this. It's one of my favorite dishes that I make. It's also good to find, especially if you're going to do all of that tomato confit and the zucchini, it kind of waters things down. So finding a sauce that's a little meatier, a little bit more stuff to it, is going to help it not be so runny. The second day is always best for the lasagna. So sometimes I'll even cook it early and then we just dish it out and reheat it, because then you kind of get that leftover feel and it tastes wonderful. A little bit of cheese here. And when I dice up my cheese, I do it in the bigger strands because I feel like it looks like there's more when there's not as much. All right, so here comes my second layer. And instead of noodles, we're doing zucchini. All right. My son will even ask sometimes for me to put a little bit of like pepperoni or other things in his zucchini or in his lasagna, because he likes a bunch of different spices and everything. And you can separate these as much as you want or as little as you want. So just like if that was a layer of noodles, I'm going to put the rest of our meat on here. All right, see, not a whole lot of meat. That's why it's mostly a vegetarian lasagna, because there's not a lot of meat that goes on it. And the rest of my celery, spreading that out over it. Give it some more seasoning. Make sure I grab the right one. I have accidentally grabbed the garlic salt and like caked it on there, and then, woo, was that too much? I like a lot of garlic. And garlic's good for you. Does all kinds of good things for you. A little bit more seasoning. I can't wait for my my garden to get going and all my normal seasonings come into play. So the rest of my sauce here. And I actually get a different spatula to help me out, or maybe just this big wooden spoon. And just spreading the sauce kind of over everything. It'll be saucy enough when it cooks down and everything. Yeah, trust me, it'll be saucy enough. I didn't even have a whole container. Some of this was used for our spaghetti the other night, spaghetti squash. So use that Fujucate app to look at your sauces and everything to see. I'm gonna add a little water. To see what your sauce is recommended, if it's a B, what kind of grade it gets. I'm going to pour some of this just on top, finishing it off. Now my son's, I left it with the zucchini on top. And that's fine. All right, the last of, and you can add more cheese. It doesn't have to be this skimpy on the cheese. That's up to you. It's always up to you on what you add to it. Now, I just put these in the oven. About 375 for, usually, because everything, it's kind of pre-cooked. The ground turkey's pre-cooked. That's the only thing you really have to worry about. So just until the cheese is all melty and I like it a little brown on top. When it gets to be the desired, the sauce is bubbling a little bit, that's when I pull it out. But it's up to you on how much or how little you do. And that is my vegetable lasagna. I mean, honestly, okay, so that noodle is going to like sink down into that. So good. And full serving of vegetables with every square. And these squares, I usually cut it in half, and then I cut it so I get 6 servings out of this. If you're doing a bigger pan, which I've done before, I usually get about 12 servings, about 350 to 400 calories per square. You generally actually about 350. Full serving of vegetables. Like I said, there's not a half a cup in a serving, so you're not even getting the 10 grams of sugar. And ground turkey, you're getting protein, just all kinds of yumminess. And I will show you when it's done. All right, so I'm going to leave them in just a little bit longer because I like the top to get really kind of almost crispy with the cheese. But wanted to show you how wonderful they turned out. Oh, they just smell so good. So my son's is done. Basically what you want is you want to be able to cut through without feeling the grain on the noodles. That way you know that everything's kind of cooked thoroughly. You don't really have to worry, again, about everything being undercooked because you cook the ground turkey by itself. So my son's getting set off to the side. And I'm going to put mine in for a little bit longer. Woo, as I'm leaking. So good. I told you, it'll get juicy, right? I told you that would happen. But that saves it for when you reheat it, that it's not dried out. But oh, this smells so good. It's not that hard. And like I said, if you're already browning up some turkey, brown up more, or beef or whatever. If you're already dicing up fruits and vegetables, dice them up for, to add to something later, provided they don't go bad when you dice them. Sometimes when you dice them, they tend to start, turning bad. And if you're gonna, make tomato confit, make a few of them. When I make my cauliflower pizza crust, I make a few and I freeze them. They're a lot of work to do at once, so do multiples. All right, guys, I hope that you enjoy your vegetable lasagna, and it's so good. I cannot wait for after Rumble class tonight. I get to dig into this. Have a great day, guys.